So in today's video, I want to talk about Stadia, Terraria, who's to blame for this getting canceled. So before I get started, I'm going to give you an intro. So this is the Next Up, and here at the Next Up, I like to talk about tech, what's trending, especially the stuff that I'm using. Now lately, I've been using Stadia, and the reason why I chose Stadia is this. So I am one who you would consider a COVID airline casualty. And what is that? So I work for an airline, and my company, ended up pretty much going out of business or being done as a result of COVID. Basically, a year ago, this time, close around this time, we got a deal with United, got brand new aircraft, brand new Air 175. Now, you may not know what that aircraft is, but I will have a picture of that shown in a video. And for me, I thought that this meant, all right, this company is about to turn it around after years of concern that we would go under. And everything was feeling like things would be good to go. I was kind of planning my vacation. Everything kind of felt like everything would go great. And like a number of people out there, we experienced COVID, and the result from it with a lot of companies having to shut down, and basically as a result, a number of people ended up losing their job for it. And I am one of them. Because of that, that put me in a situation where I had to look for another job. And gratefully, I was able to find one, but I had to move. Now, being that I was moving way out of state and only having a couple months savings saved up, I felt like the best thing to do was to be able to pack up what I could fit in my car, and anything else was either sell, get rid of, or whatever. And that was basically what I did. And that included my TV. So because of that, my TV had to go, and there was really no room for having a gaming system. My primary focus was just moving to my next location for my job and, get built back up, and then we worry about the other things. Now, 2 months after starting at that new job, I decided that, hey, man, this was too far out from where my family was at, and opportunity actually opened up where I could move closer, but I had to break my lease, and make the drive pretty much 20 hours north, to start a job at a new company. So saying all that, this put me in a situation where, for me, Stadia works out great for me. And this is why. Right now, I currently have, several Chromebooks and a Chrome tablet. I watch TV through my Chrome tablet, through YouTube TV, or one of my Chromebooks. So I do not have a TV. It's not because I don't want to go out and buy a new TV. It's just, at the time with me making two moves, the primary focus was getting settled, and that's what I was doing. So I moved up here, got settled. I wanted to basically focus on an apartment that, was affordable, where I could save up and rebuild my emergency fund, kind of get to know the area. And once I got all that, figured out, then I'll obviously move somewhere else and then maybe look at a TV. So for me, not having a TV meant not having a gaming system. But for Stadia, that works out great because I can grab a controller, plug it into my Chromebook, and play some games. And it works. I'm going to be honest with you, it works real good. And this is coming from a long way with Stadia. I remember when Stadia first released, and it worked great on the Chromecast Ultra, but when you try to play it on the Chromebook, it was garbage. I mean, it was pretty much unplayable. It has come a long way. And I'm going to be honest with you, I'm impressed with it. That said, I'm going to also be honest with you that I do see some areas where I feel like when it comes to Stadia, I do have some questionable concerns, or I do have some concerns about what the Stadia team is doing. Now, my approach to Stadia, and when I talk about this topic, is one who I am personally using it, so I do have a personal interest. But I'm not a fanboy. And if you're looking for me to be a fanboy about Stadia, then you're going to be disappointed. I'm not going to come out here and say Stadia is the greatest thing since enter whatever favorite invention or thing you want to enter. Because there are some things about Stadia that is worth noting and talking about that they need to improve. At the same time, I'm also not going to pile on. I don't feel like, man, Stadia is straight up garbage. They haven't figured out how to do anything right. Because that's also not true. Again, having been playing Stadia since it introduced, I have seen a number of areas where they have improved over the months that they're not getting credit for. And I understand, if you're someone who's not playing Stadia or someone who don't use it, you'll be like, why would I care about it? And I get it. If you have a gaming system, you have a PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox, you're gaming on a PC, this might not be for you. And if it's not, I get in like, man, this cloud gaming thing is not for me. But for me, it has been beneficial for me. I like playing with it. It works for me. And I'm actually coming up here talking about my personal experiences with it. So when I approach a story or approach a topic on Stadia, it's not me trying to convince you that Stadia is the best thing ever or tell you that Stadia is the worst thing ever. It's just me as a consumer who use it, approaching it with a concern like, this is what I'm seeing and this is where I'm coming at it from. Now, when it comes to these topics, I try to look up and find as much information as I can about it. There are going to be times where I miss information. If so, feel free to leave a comment below and I will do a follow-up video. But that's just saying that I understand that there are going to be times I'm going to miss something because I may have not seen a certain article or I may not have been to a certain Reddit or a certain place where this person may have did a follow-up. This is to say that, look, I'm not going to come to you and tell you I have all the answers. This is me approaching, again, as a consumer who uses, and this is what I'm seeing, this is the research I'm seeing, and this is where I'm coming at it from. So if you're tuning into this video and you're angry because I'm not bashing Stadia, or you're angry because I'm not fanboying Stadia, then I'm gonna be honest with you, when it comes to a lot of my videos on this, you're just not gonna like it, and there's nothing I can do about that because I'm not gonna do either or. Now, I want to go ahead and talk about this topic that came up about what happened with the Terraria developer and Stadia. So, if you didn't know, or if you haven't heard, there's a developer, he goes by Relogic, and he's one of the developers for Terraria, and he posted on Twitter that his Google account got locked out. Now, having visited several Reddits, as well as the Discord for Stadia and looked into it, there have been reports that came out that Google actually tried to reach out to him and, may have sent him a email to be able to unlock his account. Now, again, because I personally have not seen his email folder or whatever, I can't speak to that one way or another. But I'm going to try to approach it from both sides of this. And let's just say he did, because I also saw one person say, well, the person may have got the email, but he thought it was a phishing email, and I can get that as well. I will say, when it comes to Google, I have to be honest with you, their customer service can get better. I remember when I had Google Wallet, when they first unleashed it, before it was, the Google Wallet we see now, when it was, they first dropped it out, they gave you a Google Wallet card, they was trying to be new into it. During that period, this was about, I would say 6-7 years ago, their customer service at that period was up there with Apple. I remember having an issue with that and just the hands-on approach that their rep showed was second to none. I was able to get a hold of people that was calling me back. I didn't worry about me dropping call. Like, I was able to call and talk to a person. Or if I didn't have time to call someone, I was able to go and use the Google chat to talk to a person. But I felt like I was talking to a real person and they were solving my problem. And, lately, and this is speaking of just recently when I had a issue with my Google Pixel and a shipment with that, trying to get a hold of someone to get that resolved, it felt like, man, it was like pulling teeth to get a hold of someone that can resolve my issue, and they still couldn't resolve it. So to see where they went from back with the Google Wallet days of customer service to where they are now, and this was before the pandemic, I can kind of understand where someone can get frustrated, especially if you get locked out your account. Because we've all been there where you get locked out of somewhere and you're just frustrated. And this is not to say that the guy, shouldn't have just calmed down and step back and again, follow the steps of the email or find other ways of dealing with it other than blowing up on Twitter. This is to say that I understand what it feels like to have to deal with a customer service rep with any company and get bad customer service. I've had good customer service and I've had bad. I think we've all been there. When you had a rep that you call and they're standing on the phone with you the entire time, and even if they can't resolve, they're like, hold up, I'm going to get a hold of someone else. I'm going to stay on the phone with you to make sure you get transferred to the next person. Before you go, let me get your phone number. Just in case something happens with your phone or this phone call drops, we can call you back. They stay on the phone the entire time with you to the next rep pickup. The next rep pickup, they know what issue you having. They know what's going on. And they're staying with you the entire time until they get resolved. We've had that. At least I've had. And to me, those are 5-star review people. Those are 5-star feedbacks. I've actually had an experience with Apple where I had a situation where it was with their, it was one of their software issues that they were having. And, I downloaded the latest software on my Chromebook, and it just caused it to wig out. And, they were willing to work with me. And this was one of those situations where, because of how long it took us to get through it, I had to go to work. And I'm like, man, can we continue this on another day? I have a backup computer. I don't need my computer. And they were like, okay, they penciled me in for this day at that time. They called me at that time and said, do you want to continue? I'm like, yes. And we were able to get a resolve. When you have those experiences, it's like, man, this is what customer service is. And you can't wait to spend more money with them. And this is me as a non-Apple fan. I don't have a lot of Apple devices when it comes to Apple. I don't like their phones, but I do like their MacBook Pros. Now, we've also been on the other side of customer service, where if you wait for an hour or so to finally get a hold of someone, they can't seem to help you or don't want to seem to help you, want to cash you off to someone else. They say they're transferring you. Next thing you know, somehow, some way you get disconnected or hung up on, and now you got to go through this whole hour waiting again of listening to whole music. And now you angry. You're just frustrated. And it don't let you finally get a hold of someone and a person have a bad connection, talking about call back or whatever. Now you're just more frustrated. And I can see going through that, because I think we've all been there. You have bad customer service. You spent 3 hours trying to get something resolved. And the majority of that was pretty much listening to whole music.
Scanian, Weinstock, and Reisman. Hey, LaRonda. No, I got 4 people on hold, but I can't talk.
The whole music soundtrack, because you've been on hold for that long, waiting for someone, and you don't get your issue resolved. So I get wanting to go to every social media that you can and just tell everyone how, bad of experience you had with their customer service. Again, not saying he was right or wrong. I'm just saying I understand. And for Google right now, with all of the bad publicity they have been getting lately, last week, you could say this is good or bad or whatever, but them closing down their gaming studio after being open 9 months, to me, that is bad. Because it's like, what did you do? It looked like a failure. Like you don't know what you're doing. That's what it looked like to a lot of people from the outside looking in. So to have that, to have stories out there of developers who have come out and had nothing but bad to say about the Stadia team with their relations with developers, to have all that out there and knowing what is there, and then this, it don't look good at all. It doesn't. Because it sounds like to me that, yes, I get it. But this is one of those situations where Google need to fix their company from the inside out. This is just a microcosm of some of the things that is kind of wrong with Google. And I get it. They're a big company. They're a very big company. And this is one of those things where the reality is that, the departments don't talk to each other. It's not as simple as someone who may be with an Android team being able to go down the hall and talk to someone with the Chrome team or the YouTube team. Especially now with the pandemic, with a lot of people working from home. So if you're talking to one department of Google, they very well have to go through the same process to get a hold of another department as you have to. So again, this is one of those things where the bigger boys or the people that's in charge of Google have to fix that. They need to make it where it's easier for these guys to talk to each other. And it's very well documented that the teams within Google do not talk to each other. The Chrome team do not talk so much to the Android team or to the other team. And you can see that in a lot of their software. If you own a Chromebook, and it's like you look at how Android apps, especially when they first try to introduce it to Chrome, and see how it does not work that well on a Chrome device. And you're like, how is that possible? How is it possible that you both are under the Google umbrella and you can't get this to work? You're right next door to each other. But the reality, they're not. I mean, they may be in the same building, but they're not talking to each other. And this is something that if Google managed to fix this, they can make a lot of the frustration with their software and their devices just perform much better. But that's a story for another time. Point being that if that is the case when it comes to how they operate inside, I can imagine if someone experienced a issue with one of their platforms. And again, this is not something new, because how many times have you heard of YouTube developers going out and talking about how their account got locked out or something happened to their account and they can't get a hold of anyone to get it resolved? So this is something where if Google is going to want to be taken serious, they got to fix it. But the question is, do they really want to fix it? Because they're making money hand over fist. Why do they feel the need to want to fix it when their big selling points seem to be advertising? And I get it. I get that person being frustrated to the point of going to Twitter and saying, hey, you know what? I'm done. You know what? We're canceling, or Terraria on Stadia. These guys don't want to help out. Done. I'm out of here. Find another way. If you want to play my game, play it on another platform. Me and Google, we're done with burning bridges. Oh, this bridge is burnt. We out of here. So this is something where I think the Stadia team, and really not so much just the Stadia team, but the people that's ahead of Google need to look at and need to understand that this is something that is a stain on their name, and it's something that really, when it comes to a lot of people, it's one of the frustrations we have with them, is that you do see that this is a problem with their platform. If you have a problem with them getting a hold of someone to get it fixed, it can be a headache. Now, I'm not saying they do not have any reps there that are helpful, because I have encountered some. But it shouldn't be one of those situations where even if you do get a good rep, they hands are tied because they have to go through the same situation that you have to. They got to hold the same amount of time that you got to hold. They can't just send an email to the department here and say, hey, look, I got this customer on the phone right here, or I'm talking to this customer on chat, and they have a problem right now. I need you to solve this. And it should be that way. It should be as simple as that, especially for a company that is known for technology and known for all of the things they put out there as far as software. This should be simple for them. And to have a well-documented case of them dropping a ball like this because of something as simple as not being able to help a developer get into his account is a problem, no matter how it's sliced. And this is one of those things where, again, it makes you wonder if this team know what they're doing. And again, as someone who is a user of the device, I've seen some of the goods of Stadia. I've seen, we actually were playing on my Chromebook for about 4 or 5 hours, playing game after game of Madden. I got the whole season of it. I played 5 games in a row at one time, just trying to see if I can find a hiccup or get it to fail. And to be honest with you, I've not been able to do so. Now, admittedly, I did have 2 cases where I saw some glitches with the animation where I could see a little slowdown, but it picked back up and everything was fine. But the reality is this. It takes developers to make a platform what it is. And if it is true that the Stadia team is burning bridges with the developers, it makes you wonder how long this platform is going to be viable or worth playing on. Because even if the platform is there, let's just say they are able to make true to their promise that this platform is going to be there for ever and ever and ever. But if you can't get developers that are willing to work on it or put out games for it, who's going to want to show up? And that's the concern I do have. Even though I'm not a hardcore gamer where I'm looking for the next game, and I'm going to be honest with you, when it came to Terraria, it wasn't on my radar. It wasn't on my radar for games that I cared about. Not saying I wouldn't have played it if they got enough hype for me to maybe jump on and check it out. I mean, I did that with Cyberpunk, but it wasn't on my radar. So for me personally, I'm like, okay, when I first saw the article, okay, some guy, who's a Stadia developer couldn't get into his account. Oh well, what they got to do with me? But I started reading more into it. I'm like, okay, this do not look good. This doesn't look good for a developer to have problems and for the team to have not had something in place to make sure they can help them out, especially the developers. Because if you're truly trying to take this game thing serious, you would think you would have someone in place that say, look, I'm going to work with your team. And if you have any issues, call this person. And this person is going to get your situation resolved. That would have been something I would think they should be in place. Especially a system that you're trying to get up, or I say a system, but a platform that you're trying to get out there and you're trying to get people to jump on. You can't have these issues. You can't let that go like that. Because if they were, or if they did have that in place, this story might not be out there. And this may not be an issue. And it makes me wonder when it comes to their developers and how they handle the developers. Do they not understand what's going on? Do they not know what they're doing? Look, I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to or trying to convince you that Stadia is the thing you should play. Or I'm not going to also treat Stadia like it's something that is garbage. It's neither. If you already have an Xbox, you already have a PlayStation, you're a PC gamer, and you like where you're at, you like what you plan on, you don't need me to try to convince you to come to Stadia. In fact, why would you? You're probably happy where you're at. But if you're like me, you're already on Stadia. You already been playing games on it. You've seen them go from where it was unplayable, when they first started, to you seeing a number of features come out. You seeing, some of the stuff they work with live stream. You're seeing where you can capture stuff, even capture small videos by holding the square button on the Stadia controller, and just see how seamlessly this stuff is working. You're like, this thing have a lot of potential, and you feel like a lot of this potential people are missing. Now, if you're not a cloud gamer, you like, I don't believe in this game through the cloud. I feel like, this just take away from what it means to game. You prefer the game on the console. I'm not going to convince you to game through the cloud, and I'm not going to try to. But I've seen where there have been some benefits of gaming through the cloud. Look, I picked up a PlayStation 4 before, and it took it back because it took so long for me to update and download and go through all that. I'm like, it was a waste of time for me. So for me, I actually enjoy being able to pick up a controller and play. Not have to worry about going through the downloads or the updates. To be able to push a button and start playing. I like that. Now, I'm not going to spend hours and hours and hours, days and days of game. That one time I spent 4 or 5 hours, gaming on Madden here for Stadia. Look, that's a rarity. That was just me trying it out to see if I could get it to fail. That is not going to be something that's common. The most I may play is maybe 1 or 2 games of Madden a week, ideally, or of any game on Stadia. An hour or 2. And that's mainly because the weather where I'm at is poor, and with the pandemic and everything still kind of being shut down. That's pretty much one of the things I can still do. So, for me, Stadia works. But even it working for me, I still have concerns. And I think rightfully so. Because, man, the visuals look bad. Even for someone inside here who, just use it, it looks bad. So I can imagine someone on the outside who may be thinking about it like, nah, why would I want to take the risk of buying a game on your platform and take the chance that your platform may be gone in less than a year, especially with the reputation that Google have. And no matter how much convincing the Stadia team may be trying to convince people that that is not something to be concerned about, that Stadia will be around. If you're someone who like, man, why would I want to spend $50 on a game here and then next year it's gone? Where some of these other gaming platforms, Xbox, where I can buy a game even through their cloud gaming and still play it on their console. To someone like that, who trying to make sure that their money stick around and their investment in the game is one where they can play it years from now. That may be more ideal. Now, obviously, if you really want to secure a game where you want to continue to play it by the physical media. But for a lot of people, man, we are in this age of playing through the cloud, playing through, the internet, downloading your game through whatever. We're there. And the cloud gaming system and platforms have gotten better, at least for me, when it comes to Stadia. But at the end of the day, I get it. I get not wanting to take that risk. And you have to wonder, at least I wonder, for the team out there, especially the Stadia team, like, it seems like bad news after bad news, bad article after bad article. And it just looks like they don't know what they're doing. Now, we know when it comes to software, Google eventually gets it. They eventually get it right. They eventually get some of it figured out. But a lot of times, man, when they do figure it out, it's too late. Someone else have caught on. Or they use it as kind of a template for others to follow. And that makes people wonder, is that what Stadia is? At least some people. Is Stadia just a template for someone else? Is Google just creating this kind of like they do Android when it comes to their Pixel phone, where they use their Pixel phones in their Nexus device back in the day to develop Android on? But it's really meant for companies like Samsung to really shine with it. Where you see, if you really want to see how far Android can really go with it, look at a Samsung phone. But if you just want the base of where Android can be, you look at a Pixel phone. And it makes me wonder, are we going to see that with Stadia? If you just want to see what the base of what Stadia can be, this pure Stadia, this pure software, look at Stadia. But if you really want to see where the platform can go, what they can do with it, will it be someone else that really push it to its full limits, giving you what you really wanted to see this platform do? And only the future will tell if that's the case or not. I'm not here to tell you, again, that this is the platform you should pick up. or I'm here to tell you that this is garbage. I'm just saying that someone who plays Stadia day in, day out, well, really once every other week or once a week when I get a chance as a casual gamer, I do have concerns whether this thing will be here tomorrow or not. I see some of the things they do good, which is why I keep on picking up the controller. And it's just beneficial for me in my current situation. It just makes sense for me to have this, to be able to pick up a controller and play on my Chromebook. Because my setup right now, that's all I have. Because for me, it makes sense to only have that. You know, I'm not one to run out and buy a TV when I get to my first location because, you know, again, if I do that and I end up having to get rid of that TV or I'm not able to move it, then what? To me, I see that as a bad buy. Especially now where you can watch pretty much any and everything through tablets now and computers now. And also, with me working, the hours I work, me trying to hopefully pick up the overtime I can to re-up my emergency fund, I'm not going to have a lot of time being spent on TV or playing games. So the time I do have, it's not worth me rushing out and getting a TV. Like, at least not until I get to a place that I consider more of a permanent location. You know, when I buy a house or stay in a place that is a bigger apartment that's going to be where I'm going to be there for a year or two. Then, for me, it's worth buying a TV. It may be even looking at something like a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox. So it's not out the picture for me to jump platforms. I'm just saying for now, I did choose Stadia. And for now, I do see the benefits of Stadia. And this video, just my take on my thoughts on this whole Terraria thing. It just, again, it don't look good for Google. And hopefully someone in the Stadia team and really the Google team see what's going on and really take the reins and try to get people to understand what Stadia can do and start taking control of the headlines, start mending the fences with developers, because if not, it'll be another one of those projects that Stadia just, or that Google have just buried. And for one who been a big consumer of Google products, software, I don't want to see this happen to Stadia. Anyway, those are my thoughts. I'm curious what your thoughts on this whole ordeal. Leave your comments below. This is PC747 with the next up. I'm out.